That's fine. That's got to be my opening questions. Let's stay. I wouldn't sweat it. Okay. Is it okay if I record just for my purposes? I won't send it anywhere.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, that way I can go back. Um, so now, Palvi, you came to me through a referral, is that right? Or actually through a Facebook group?
It's from Jigisha. Jigisha referred me.
Gigisha. That's right. That's right. Okay. So I've been talking to so many people.
I
Okay. So
understand.
what I'm going to do is just try to help you
Okay.
by understanding what Rashawn's goals are, and
Okay.
from your perspective, what it is that you would like him to get help with.
Okay.
And then from there, I'm going to give you my recommendations
Okay.
as a teacher. I taught fifth grade for 4 months, and then I taught sixth grade for a year.
Okay.
And I've taught a lot of different elementary grades, but mostly I've spent my career in high school.
Okay.
And so that's what we're working with. Right now, I've been working with a sixth grader in Texas, along with an eighth grader. They're brothers. And
Right.
so they are going to start in May again.
Okay.
So this may be something where, I do online group tutoring. Now, we may or may not want to do tutoring,
Mhm.
but that's up to you. But we'll just first kind of just talk about what it
Yes.
is that you need. Okay. So
Okay.
the first thing is, um, and I'm gonna take notes here so that I can refer back to this.
Hmm.
So what was it about the tutoring that initially got your attention? What came to mind first?
I think professional writing, that's one thing that immediately, got into my mind. And second thing is um, to put thoughts on a paper may not always be easy. So that's the other thing. And
Right.
third, is obviously like we come from a background where we didn't, neither me nor myself or my husband did not do our education here. So we
Okay.
are trying
Right.
all our best to help the kid achieve his high school, college, and every goal possible, and
Right.
will be greatly boosting him towards those goals.
Very good. Um, and so the reason for doing that, the reason for, if you don't mind, I'm going to be asking just to go a little bit deeper.
Sure.
So the reason for this is, like you said, for that, so that he can plan ahead for college, but also be successful in high school environment.
That's true, and I think one common thing what we notice with Rishan, it's okay for the kid to be around, right? You're fine
Oh
with that.
yeah, that is actually. I don't do these calls without the student because that way they get to see me
Yes.
and they get to talk to you afterwards and to give you their honest opinion whether or not they feel like they
Yeah.
want to work with me. So I think that's important.
Okay, sounds good. So, one thing, like it definitely improvised over a period of time. But one thing what we have always noticed is he struggled a little on the comprehension side. Okay, so there's no issue with his speaking or vocabulary or reading, but when there is a comprehensive passage given and there
Okay.
set of questions given to that comprehension passage, how do the thoughts and how do we articulate with the compensation, comprehension with the questions is a bit struggling factor. We've noticed it's gotten a little better. I wouldn't say that it's still the same, but I think that is one area which we still find him struggling. He reads a lot of books. So, like he has a book in the room, in the living one book. So he follows multiple books all over a day. So we're very happy that he picked up the reading skill and he thoroughly enjoys and learns that. So as I said, that comprehension is something, and um, most of the time, I mean, his even when I look back his course, that is one area, ELAR or English. Previously, he used to struggle a little bit in that. Okay, so that's
So it's
the
gotten better.
yeah,
It's gotten better.
it's good.
Um, okay.
And I think these are the things that we feel that he needs a little more push from our side. But as I said, unfortunately, both of us don't belong to the background here in US, or we
Yeah,
don't background of US education system.
sure.
It gets a little challenging for us to help him out when there is a certain need.
Well, yeah. I mean, you certainly want to have like if it was math and you understood all the formulas and the concepts. And I think in English it's the same thing.
Hmm,
To understand the vocabulary is a huge part of that. Um, and then there are some other things that are going to be needed for comprehension.
right.
Rashawn, if it can I, is it okay if I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, first of all, it's nice to meet you, and I really like your outfit right there. Got Pokemon Pikachu.
I'm wearing pajamas, so.
Okay. Well, but that it looks really cool. So do you feel like any frustration with your comprehension? Do you feel like you could be better with answering these questions in school, scoring higher, and
Yeah,
having a quicker time?
yeah, I know I can score better. I truly believe that. I never get frustrated or anything. I just know that I can do better next time and just think more ahead.
Very good. I love that attitude. Yeah, it seems that that can only come from your parents. I think they are very proactive and they are really trying to look ahead with you as well. So you're very fortunate to have a great, support system with your parents. So, and that's half the battle in just that awareness. All right. And what are there any other issues? So you mentioned putting your thoughts down on paper, ideas. Rashawn, from your perspective, when you sit down to write, whether it's in class or you have an assignment that you're taking home, what is the thing that gives you the hardest time with regards to writing? You probably write pretty well, but I'm wondering if maybe there are just areas about your writing that you'd like to be better.
Yeah, for me, at my school, I do a lot of kind of CERs, like claim, evidence, reasoning.
Okay.
One thing that usually kind of I struggle with is finding evidence and kind of finding the answers for those things, depending on what it is. Like if it's like a passage that I
Mhm.
understand, usually I get more evidence and more reasoning of it. Like I understand.
Okay.
But if it's something like that, like a poem or poetry or something that I won't understand, I can find evidence, but it's just like I won't make.
full sense of it.
You'll make what?
I won't make like full sense of it. I'll understand it half.
Okay. Yeah, that does make sense because if and you there's a beautiful um reasoning here, and that is if you comprehend what you're reading, and it's I mean pretty simple. If you comprehend what you're reading, you're able to put together your thoughts more quickly, right? And more easily. So that's part of it. And I used to think it was all about the writing technique, but I really do believe something that I've been spending more time with my students. I've been teaching since 2008, but I do try to give my kids at school a lot of extra time just talking about the passage. But to do that, obviously, and I may be jumping ahead of myself a little bit, there's a lot we could do for that, right? And so I'm gonna be sending your mom some tools right after this call, and you'll be able to use those things. And all right, so let me see if there are any other questions. Um, Now, how long have you noticed this, uh, issue with reading and comprehension?
Uh, I'd say since I've moved here, since that I was struggling when I moved here, but it's improved a lot, majorly. But the most thing I struggle with is mostly writing.
Mostly writing. Okay. Yeah, and you're a good reader, so that's going to be a major plus. That's really going to help you there. Um, and that was how many years ago did you move to the US? I think you mentioned before,
Yeah.
was it in
Uh,
second grade?
no, he started pre-K everything here in the US. He started his pre-K from here.
Okay, got it.
But we moved to a different ISD this year. So prior he was in charter school, and now we
Oh,
were public school.
I'd say I've been here for
Now this is his first academic year, and we currently are in North Lake ISD. So this is his first time in this particular ISD. So when we started, he went to public school for a good 3 years until second
2000.
grade,
Yeah.
and then third, fourth, he went to a charter school, and now he's again into public school.
So I'd say around like 6 years.
Yeah.
okay. So would you say that uh, helping to improve your comprehension and also being able to express those ideas very academically and
Mhm.
effectively is your main goal right now with your English?
Not with my English, just like how to be honest, I think my English, I know I can improve, but right now I think it's fine.
Well, I mean your subject. That's what I mean by English. In
Yeah,
California, we call it English or ELA.
ELAR.
So it's mostly writing.
It's mostly writing. The writing I need, not a lot, but it's enough that I need like help, like no- like
You'd
writing.
like some help.
Yeah, like writing what to need to write, something that needs to be in the passage, or need something that needs to be in what I write, like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I have an observation on that. So when we've noticed this previously, I wouldn't say that it's just this academic year. It's like that.
yeah.
We can truly tell you there is a slight uh, disconnect when it comes to writing or comprehension going on from a little time. I wouldn't say it is just this academic year. Previously, also, we didn't notice that. And to be quite honest to you, in from the previous school, like the charter school, basis Benbrook, um, it was brought to our attention as well. Two things. Number one is he may not understand the concept, and that's the reason he's not able to articulate the same on the paper.
Yeah.
Or the second thing is always there is a mind that goes, okay, I read this and these are all look very familiar answers, and let me mark the nearest possible. You know, it's not truly going into the nitty-gritty of the language, but then just trying his best out with the nearest suitable answer. So we did get these two observations from the school.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. But I think Rashawn, I think that's probably because you want to score high. You want to do well. You want to make yourself proud. You want to make your family proud, right?
Yeah.
So you are going to try your best with what you have. So, I mean, even I think if I'm understanding correctly, he's
Mm,
going to go for that understanding of level of comprehension that he has in
mm.
terms of whatever questions and whatever he's writing. He's going to stay at that level, but he's still trying his best.
Yes, I agree.
So we just have to unlock that understanding for him and give
Yes,
him that language.
that's right.
Yeah, very
Like
much.
what I'm writing, my English teacher at my school, she thinks it's good, but she knows I can improve more. Like
Yeah,
sometimes it can be a little repetitive. Like I can write the
yeah.
same sentence, well, not the same sentence, but a similar sentence more than once.
Same
But
thought. Same
yeah,
thought, different ways.
but that's not happened a lot. Like it's happened a few times, but it can happen sometimes. And sometimes, like I write a sentence, like it makes sense. It's just that I might have to like rephrase it.
Yeah. Right. So, math, if you do long division, you can check by multiplying. If you're multiplying, you can check your work by doing division, right?
Yeah.
So, what I teach my students to do is to check their work. How do they know something is good, right? How do you know you're answering a question to the best of your ability, but also going deeper? And so, as I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but as I'm hearing you talk,
Yeah.
I just want to give you a little burst of hope, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit of that, or a lot of it actually, is the vocabulary. And
Yeah.
once um, I have that tool that I'll send you,
Mhm.
if you understand those literary terms, those concepts, then it gives you a way of thinking ahead of time of your reading. And then that way, before you even sit down and get into a story, you're already thinking that way. The other thing is, I know you want to be proactive, and it's better to get in front of this disconnect early rather than later. And so, fifth grade is great. You're almost sixth grader, right?
Yeah.
In a couple of months, you'll be a rising sixth grader. So, I think it's very wise to get ahead of this, and I really commend you for thinking about this at this point in the year because it's never too late to really have things come together for you in your English, not your English speaking, but your subject matter, your writing, reading, listening, and speaking. Um, okay, so are you in agreement with your mom, your dad, that in order to positively impact this, so that you become an expert academic writer, that it's going to take some work, right, outside of what you're normally doing? So have you discussed that? Have you tried tutoring before?
I don't really understand.
Okay, so the question is, are you willing to put some time into this?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because
Talk to
for
me about the yes and no.
yes, because I want to improve my grades and I want to improve my English speaking, writing, and improve so I can get better. Like I know in middle school and high school, you usually write a lot of essays and paragraphs. So I want to improve on that because for me, I feel like I can improve on that. I'm not I'm not so good at it, but I'm not so bad on it. I'm like okay, but I know I can improve on it. And the noting part is like I didn't know about this writing thing until today.
Got it.
So
Yeah, it's something you're going to need to think about, and you're
yeah,
going to need to talk with your mom because usually after the call here, you know, there is no, I'm not going to ask for your money or anything like that. So this call is more of like hey, let's get this information out. Let's figure this out and let's see where we want to go with that, right? So, um, yeah, so that's a good point. And when you say the no, is that a matter of having things already in your schedule that you're focused on? I know that you have homework
Yeah,
probably.
I have
Um,
not, I wouldn't say a lot, but I have a few things that might give homework and kind of tire me out. Like some of them are actual exercise, like either archery and swimming. Those can tire me out after the set lesson or practice. I also do soccer, so those tire me out sometimes.
oh, they tire you out.
Yeah,
God.
like in energy, but some
Yes.
usually after those practices, depending on what it is, I'm usually almost always energetic, depending on what practice.
Hmm. Okay. Any other concerns about, let's say your mom and you were to talk about doing tutoring twice a week, let's say for an hour online.
Uh,
What other kind of concerns do you have about that? I mean, number one would be the commitment of time, right?
yeah,
Those are 2 hours that you could be spent doing other things. What else in your back of your mind would concern you?
kind of like thinking about what I have like next. Like, let's say, example, like let's say I have it on like let's Monday and Wednesday, let's say 4 o'clock every day. Like
Right?
Monday, 4 o'clock. For me, it would kind of be a little,
No, schedule is something we can figure that out. Like, I because we don't have a schedule yet for the next year, but then
Okay,
we can figure a schedule out if yeah things go good.
sure.
Yeah, figure out that.
but
Okay.
I get kind of like not stressed, not nervous, but like kind of exhausted maybe. I don't know how to explain it, but
Well, I think what you're trying to say is you work hard. You work really hard because being a student is like a full-time job. And because you're serious about it, there's a thing called bandwidth. So you think about computers, right? Computers have a bandwidth. And so every now and then my computer has to be reset or it has to be restarted. And so that's important. Also, there are little tricks for that as well. In my tutoring, I also recognize that, and I'm also human too. So a lot of times I'll tell my students, "Hey, let's take a 2 minute break. Let's just, if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. You can shut off your screen. You can go for a walk. Not a long walk, but um, those sorts of things can be really valuable. And I think I actually study a lot of what's called deep learning and deep work. And what's so important about that is that I think we need time to process. Everybody's on the go, 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 go. And some of that is good. And I don't get me wrong, I think your parents are very wise and you always need to follow your parents because they know you better than anybody, right?
yeah,
Um, Even better than yourself. Because why? Because not because you're not smart, because you're young and you're going to grow and then you're going to see, yeah, you know what? This is why they're having me do this, right? This is why they have me busy doing this other thing. But anyway, I don't want to get off track and I don't want to take a lot of your time because I know you've had a long day.
uh,
And so what would happen if you were to solve this, if you were to be as confident with your writing and your comprehension just as much as your best subject, what would that do for you?
it
What
would,
would that do for mom?
it would help me a
Yes.
lot. So I'd be improving on a lot of things. Like
Mhm.
I think more deeply into things before writing them. Look more, I look reading more. I kind of like think more deeply into what before I answer things or write things. And
Mm. Oh, you're talking about motivation. That's your way of saying I would be more motivated, right?
yeah,
Because that's what happens when we're motivated. We get excited about something and we want to
do
do
better.
it. So what's one thing you're really excited about in your day? It could be a sport, it could be one of your subjects, it could be something you do volunteer wise.
To be honest, for me, I don't have anything exciting about today. I just think about what's good about today. I think about what has happened to me during the day, see if anything good has happened.
Yeah.
I don't really think about the most or good thing about the day. I just think about what has happened through my day and see if I can do that same thing the next day or do something
Wonderful.
the next day.
I like that. And we all have different words, but I like that too. If my dad is Indian also, so my dad says, "Don't be happy, don't be sad, be
In the
deeply
middle.
involved, but be detached at the same time." And so there's that mindset that I can relate to. When I hear you talk, I hear my father's voice in the back of my head. Um, okay, let's see. We're almost done. We're about halfway done. And what would happen though if you did not improve this? I know we kind of hinted at it before, but what is your fear as you look ahead to middle school? Um, High school is I mean, it's not that far away, but it's kind of in the distance, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want to think too far ahead, but just for the next year or two, what, how'd that make you feel if this problem got bigger?
Um, it would make me more not stressed, but a little more nervous before doing English tests. So what I probably do is maybe study or do something after to help me better at it. If it's like staying at the
Mhm.
level, I would try to kind of find more things that I can practice on, just like writing, reading, and then
Yeah.
maybe find some more people to kind of work with.
Good attitude. Good attitude there because you're always going to have resources, right?
Yeah.
And I think once what I try to teach is a system. And I'm going to talk to you very shortly about three pillars. And the three pillars are how I built my tutoring. And they pretty much are like the foundation of a house, right? You have a foundation, and I actually have four pillars, but three of them are the ones that I build around mostly. The fourth one I can mention briefly. Um, and that will be for the older students that I have because they're trying to tell a story, and that's one of my pillars. Um, okay. So, any questions before I talk about kind of how I structure um, kind of what helps me to help students, right? There's that kind of science behind what I do, and I'm going to talk about that. But before I get into that, what kinds of questions do you have, or is there anything else that we missed about, when you're in English class? Um, Is it poetry that you're having a hard time with? Is it is it well, I don't know. You fill in the blank there. And maybe mom has an idea as well.
Yeah, no, I think like if suppose he's given a topic to write, okay,
Mm,
I don't think so. He is yet there to have a very detailed essay written on it.
okay.
He knows what the topic is about. He knows how to break it into pieces. However, um, as he mentioned previously, it's repetitive. There are few sentences which are repetitive.
It's how I write it. It's how basically how I write it. Sometimes I like kind of the thought of the sentence would be different, but the beginning of the sentence would be kind of like the same. Like sometimes when I write my thesis, I would say one piece of evidence I use to support this at the beginning of the sentence, but on another sentence, like right after, I might say like another piece. It's kind of almost the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's what my I do sometimes because for me, I kind of want to. stay in the same zone for the beginning of sentences, but I can see why some people want to kind of make other things, like other sentence beginnings.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sensing a bit of um there's more work in English comprehension writing than you probably previously thought,
Yeah,
right?
pretty
It's
much.
deeper, right?
Yeah.
And so um that is one of those issues where I try to impart that to students and that enthusiasm for your learning is going to be a part of connecting with what you read, right? Because there's learning to read, which you're done. Well, you're not learning to read anymore, but there's reading to learn, but there's also going deeper. Um, so look, I can relate. I can relate because my instructors when I was in college, okay, I was always getting A's, always. My instructors used to come to me, like two of them, and said, "What are you doing? This is incredible," right? Yet one of them, she would sit down with me and she would look at what I wrote and she would read it and she would look at it like this. And I thought I put the best effort there, right? I did everything she asked, right? I gave, I did some research. I included evidence. I had an introduction. She would read it and she would look like this. What are you trying to say here? And I would say, "Oh, what I'm trying to explain is blah, 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 blah." And she would say, "You never said it here. And also, this is a problem, and that's a problem, and this is a problem, and that's a problem." Right. And you know what I said to myself? And let me know if you can relate to this. This is more than I wanted to learn. I wanted just to get this assignment done. And now, why'd you tell me all this stuff? Like, I don't love this subject, right? Have you ever felt that way?
Sometimes.
Yeah, almost like this is more work than you thought, and you're not sure how to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Or whether or not you want to. You want to get high grades. And you know what? You said it before. I think he'll always get high grades. I think he'll always work hard. The thing is, we want to save him time. And
Save
if
him.
I can give you a system,
Yes, that's right. You're right. Save him time is one thing.
yeah,
Second, I see English or the whole language as a part of patience as well. See, unfortunately, rushing through things will not help out.
yes,
It's a
yes,
patience process, and trust me, it's
yes.
a life skill. I treat it in that way.
I'm so glad you see it that way. And that's the way I see it too. All
Yeah.
right. So last, any other questions? And I'll talk about my pillars.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. So everything you've told me, I've heard before.
Mhm.
I've experienced before. And what I want you to know, Rashawn, is that the way to think of this is, first of all, I want to give you the tools to know there's hope, that not only you can be better, you can go deeper. And once you know those tools are there, going on the offensive instead of the defense. Are you familiar with sports and offense and defense?
Yeah.
Right now, you're playing defense. We want to get you playing offense because proper communication and deep communication and really speaking to your audience is going to be important in high school, college. And if you become a doctor, a business owner, a pharmacist, a teacher, a technologist, a programmer, the way that you're going to be able to move ahead in that career more quickly will be through your ability to be very comfortable communicating. Not only this, but even beyond all this, to be very concise. That is way into the future. Right now, we got to get you writing more sentences and different sentences and get that development going of your essay to you where you can know what this is. You can say, ah, this is commentary. Ah, this is evidence. Ah, this is my
Reason.
introduction, right? This is my counter argument, for example. And once you have that down, you're going to be able to focus better on what it is you need to do. And reading is going to be important for you as well. So that's why that vocabulary tool, the 47 literary terms, are they're going to they're something you can learn for a long period of time. You can learn them all year. And okay, so the
I
first pillar, I'm going to name all three pillars. And there's a long story behind this. I'm not going to bore you with the long story. But I asked a national expert in education, Douglas Reeves, I said, what is it that students are missing? Um, and he said organization. He said organization. Students do not have good time management. And if they do have good time management, when they sit down to write, um, let's say a report, an essay, they can't see the forest for the trees. In other words, they get overwhelmed with some of the steps and they tire easily, probably because they don't know where they are in that process. So they need that. So the second pillar, and I'll come back to that and I'll explain that a little more in detail. The second pillar, and these are concepts that help me to help students, is ideas. Ideas. Now, where do ideas come from? I'll talk about that. I have some tools for that. But we're talking about ideas from what you read, ideas from your life, ideas from your own experience, ideas from the world, ideas from your family, and then there are ideas that you write, right? Because you have all these ideas in your head. The problem is when we read something, how do we get those ideas into my brain and from my brain to the page, right? That's the big problem. We
yeah.
all face. I have the same problem. Everybody has the same problem. And so vocabulary is a big part of that. So the first pillar is organization. The second pillar is ideas. You got to have ideas, good ideas to write about. But that doesn't solve the problem, does it? You have to have the third pillar, which is writing technique. How to write like a scholar, how to put those ideas into a format that satisfies for the academic, for things like testing, your teacher, high school, right? Being able to survive and thrive in high school. All right. So, any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So, what I'd like you to do is something I do in my tutoring. I've never done this before on one of these calls, but if you want to, I want you to take a 30-second break, whether it's stretching. I teach my kids to do this, which recharges the brain if you cross the blood-brain barrier like that. You could close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes for 30 seconds. I'm just going to chill. I'm not going to try to think of anything, but I'm just going to give you time to just sit, relax, and process.
Okay.
So we'll go for about 30 seconds. So, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about organization. So I'm going to keep it really simple for you. Organization for me means many things, but the number one thing is, do you have time to work on your writing? You don't have to answer that question right now. It's just a rhetorical question. Do my students have time to work on their writing? Do they know when they're going to work on their writing? Do they know when they're going to collect ideas? Do they know when they're going to read? Do you know when you're going to take out the trash? Do you know when you're going to take a shower? Right? All these things are important. And if you have the big picture, you're going to feel more comfortable with anything extra that you have to do, whether it's tutoring or not, because you're going to feel like, wait a minute, I have the time. Therefore, I have the energy. Organization also is something I show my students in their writing. The writing process has 6 stages, right? So pre-writing, drafting, peer feedback, revision, editing, final draft, 6 stages, right? So being very clear with what part of the stage we're working on during the tutoring. So it might be one week we're working on pre-writing. Maybe the next week we're working on drafting. So we have a clear picture what it looks like so we can break it down. And this is what's going to save your energy because you don't have to worry about the whole essay. You can just think about, hey, let's relax. Let's figure this out. Let's discuss it and let's figure out what we don't understand. And then let's express that because we want you to understand things deeply. So when you read more deeply. But for that, of course, vocabulary is a big part. The second pillar is ideas. Now, Kelly Gallagher, who gave me permission to use his book in my tutoring, it's a great book, and it shows us 6 different types of writing, not only for high school, elementary school, but in the real world. 6 different types of writing. The book is called Write Like This. And I've met Kelly Gallagher a couple times. He's come to Bakersfield, where I live. And he said students struggle with writing because 2 reasons. Number one, they don't know what to write about, or they can't put their thoughts together. The second problem is they don't know how to write it. So ideas, the way I help students with that is we discuss these ideas, we give them vocabulary. I give you a reading journal, which I created. Um, a lot of the things in there come from years and years of practice and also what other teachers have done that works. And so I created a reading journal just to be able to capture all your ideas. And like your mother said, when you think about these pillars, they travel with you throughout your day. So when you're waking up in the morning, you can think about it this way like, I'm Rashawn. I know a lot about the world because I experienced the world. I know things that my mom doesn't know. I know things my teacher doesn't know. And I get to write it down. And when I read something, I can connect with it. And I'll show you how to connect with what you read, right? So ideas are important, but also there are tools for expressing ideas before you write. Have you ever heard of an outline?
Yeah.
So
Well,
outlines are nice, but outlines sometimes give students a hard time because have you ever sat down to write and the thing that you put in the outline, you're not quite sure how to write it, and then you start writing extra stuff that's not in your outline?
yeah. I've done that a few times, but it's just because like I was just bored and I was just wanting to write something.
Yeah. So I use thinking maps. Thinking maps are there are 8 different thinking maps. I'm a certified trainer with thinking maps, and thinking maps follow the 8 different cognitive demands. For example, if I want to tell a story, I'm going to tell it in order, right? So I'm going to use a flow map, and it's going to be a bunch of boxes with arrows. If I want to if I want to express cause and effect, in other words, I want to explain why something happened, I can use a multi-flow map, and it's a bunch of boxes with different arrows. So now here's the funny thing. Those thinking maps help us when we read as well. So you can read something and use a thinking map to better comprehend it and to see what kind of text structure is there. In other words, what was the author thinking as he wrote this? If you can kind of think that way, it's almost like having notes about like you're reading an article, right? Reading a story. What if you could have the author's notes? What if you knew exactly what the author was trying to say and why he was using a certain example, a certain motif, a certain symbol? So what thinking maps help us to do to figure that out. It makes us better readers. Um, and then the third pillar is the technique of writing. And that is just the science of writing. Things like write like this. For example, what does good writing look like? We have to define what that means. We have to see what that looks like. And it's helpful when you see a teacher. I'm a pretty good writer. Like I've published many things. I have around here, around the house. I have a book I put together, a couple books. But the thing is, I also struggle with writing because writing is not just writing something once, it's rewriting, it's rethinking. But anyway, so those are the three pillars. And there's a lot of writing theory. I don't want to bore you with that, but I kind of know what works with students. And I also think that grammar and sentence structure and writing really good sentences has a lot to do with having a basic understanding what is a sentence and how to modify that sentence. And also, when you put a second sentence, what comes in between those two sentences, right?
Yeah.
Transitions. So, being familiar with that, I use color coding. I look at students' writing, and then we share. I might put some of your writing up on the screen. There might be two other students, and we'll ask, "What do you like about the sentence? How would you fix it?" Right? And then I'll come in and I'll show how we can make this sentence more complex, how we can modify the sentence, how we can cure a run-on sentence, how we can combine two sentences into one. And so those are my three pillars. So questions. We're almost done. I have like probably 5 more minutes and then we'll be finished. But what kind of questions do you have?
Not much, to be honest.
Thoughts? Okay. Um, do you think that this could be a solution for you if you were to have a tutoring twice a week, for example, for an hour? I also offer a third hour, which is part of that. It's not mandatory, but the third hour is kind of an office hour where you can bring homework or you could ask about anything that you want. You know, it could be something you're working on for me, or it could be a topic um, that that interests you in terms of your own writing, your own reading, and that sort of thing. Um,
I think that helped me just now, like 1 hour, maybe like 45 minutes. I think that helped me a lot. Like 45 minutes twice a week.
well, that's something we can talk about, and we can certainly work that out because I think that fits already with kind of what I do. Um, we do set aside an hour, but you would be surprised at how much you can get out of that time where that extra 15 minutes might just be where you might be working quietly on something, right?
Yeah.
And I might let you do that in it. So here's the thing, when you go to a tutoring session, you can go to a tutoring session and have more work to do. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is stressful. I wanted less to do. I was trying to learn something here. Now you're giving me extra, right? Or a tutoring session can be a productive session, right? Where you actually learn something, you actually get some feedback on your writing, you actually get to ask questions. And so yeah, we could talk about that if your mother and you and your father decide, maybe this is something you want to do. Um, we can talk about how those sessions look and how to maintain your energy because I think that's important. And I'd rather have you for 45 minutes where you're fully present rather than an hour where I'm wasting 15 minutes of your time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, So are you comfortable with everything you've heard with the pillars, with the way that I think about helping students?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
If let me ask on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll ask your mother as well. if one is sort of like, no, this is not very interesting. I don't think this would help me. Five is, I think it could help me. It sort of interests me. And 10 being, wow, this is like exactly what we're looking for. And I believe that it would increase my motivation in the short term. So, how do you feel in terms of what you've heard so far?
I'd say from 8.5.
8.5. That's interesting. That's exactly what the other boys gave, 8.5. Actually, I gave them a lesson, and I said after the first lesson they rated it 8.5. And how about mom?
I think I'm pretty confident on this. Like, I would say it's a 10.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So and Rashawn, let me ask a quick question. Why not a five or a six or a seven even? You gave it pretty high, 8.5.
Because I understand what we're learning here and what I understand. And if I chose a 5 or 6, that means that I'm not understanding the way I learn or the way that I'm going to learn if I
Yeah,
join. But if but I understand the way I learn and I understand the way that you chose to build pillars. So that's why I give
yeah.
it a,
Very good. So you feel like there's room in there for your style of learning
yeah, I think there's room in
and to
this.
be effective for you as well.
Yeah, I think there's room for me in my style of learning and I can improve with that along with your pillars.
Excellent. I take that as a great compliment. I appreciate that. That makes my day. Um, so you know what I'm going to say here. Um, I want this session to be something that you decide whether how you want to move forward, right? Um, it may be that you might say, well, tutoring will work out or will not work out, whatever it is. I will still send you a roadmap, basically just some recommendations. I think that I would definitely recommend that the tutoring would be something for you. I know I don't normally do elementary, but I'm talking with a few families, and I believe that there may be a few other elementary kids in there as well. Now, if it becomes one-on-one, that's okay with me. I prefer group tutoring because you're going to get more out of it from that, and it goes like faster in a way. It's more interesting when you have multiple students together. Not too many though. I don't have like 10. I don't do
Like
that. I don't do that. I think that's too much. But I keep it to where you can still get that individualized attention because we don't want this to be just like school. We want this to be more targeted towards, helping you to get better. Um, I definitely would recommend it. And with the experience that I have, I think you're going to go faster. And like your mom said, and I truly believe that this will save you time in the long run because this will give you'll always keep those pillars. They'll always stay with you, right? Just from what you learned today, you're going to be way better, right? Because you already know that you need to focus more on those ideas. You already know that you need to make connections with what you read. And that can be having a journal, informal writing, that sort of thing. Um, and now it's isn't it cool when you can break a challenge down into bite-sized pieces? It's
yeah,
not like, oh gosh, what do I do? Well, you have a game plan. You need to work on your writing. Um, the other thing I do recommend is we'll look at some examples, and that way, I don't know. It could be that somewhere down the line in a few weeks, I might recommend that you copy a few essays. And research has shown, and this has been done for thousands of years in ancient cultures that are trying to teach the language in a very powerful way. Jewish people learn this way, um, where they would copy Old Testament texts, they would memorize them. I'm not saying you're going to do that here, I'm saying that it could be that you might copy a paragraph. It might take you 10 minutes and you would see exactly it's almost like how do I explain? Climbing into somebody else's shoes.
You might understand it more.
Yeah. You get to see it by copying it. So I don't do that a lot, but it could be something where I might just say, hey, do this for 15 minutes on a Saturday, and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. All right. So, um, would you like me to explain the investment?
Yeah, I think I will continue on that, and I will send the kid back to have
Okay.
his tuition. You can go ahead. Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Rashawn. Thank you for all your input and thanks for hanging in there.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise.
Bye.
Okay, take care.
You can go and have it. Honest. Okay. No, no, let it be. Okay, take it.
Yeah. So, what questions do you have so far? Any?
Mm, Not questions, like what I've heard is exactly what I was looking for, more
Yeah,
in a way approachable and in the format of a life skill than just seeing this as a subject.
yeah.
Because I'm an IT consultant, and I do write a lot of reports, for my
Oh,
client. I build some documentation, and I do a lot of things around that. So, like how I kind of depend on extra or additional help when I do through these writings, could
yeah,
be it could be Copilot, whatever. I just don't want my child to depend on any of those resources. He should be independently capable enough to
yeah,
handle complex writings that come his way.
yeah.
So,
I'm writing that down. No, I think that's an important thing here. So, the way that I do the tutoring,
mhm,
typically I start with 12 weeks because I think that's kind of what we need to be able to
mhm,
show improvement to do everything. And with that, and I'll get to the price in a second.
mhm,
Um, what happens there is when you say yes, what we do is that I give you an agreement,
mhm.
and then what I like to do is I like to guarantee the results. I like
Right.
to say, okay, let's do an assessment first. Let's do a pre-assessment. So
Mhm,
that is standard.
mhm.
Um, and then from there, I will identify what he needs to work on, right? I know that we talked today, but
Yeah.
it's one thing to talk about, another thing to kind of see it,
Yes. Agree.
right? And then that way you have a baseline that you can go back to after 4 weeks, after 8 weeks, after 12 weeks.
Mhm.
Um, and so more or less, we can take a snapshot at those times. I like to wait at least 8 weeks before doing another assessment.
Okay.
Um, and then so that okay, when once that's done, and that's a 30-minute writing session for him,
Mhm.
just 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I already have the pre-assessments. And then from there, we schedule an acceleration meeting. So the acceleration meeting basically is where I debrief you on the report. I say, okay, this is what I found. This is the score that I gave him. And
Mhm.
so this is what we're going to work on. And then you can talk and say, okay, can we focus more here? Can we focus more there? This is my priority for him. And then from there, that becomes my focal point each week
Yeah.
with each session.
Mhm.
And everything that I do is I might share the screen with you if you want in a bit, but basically there is a writing project and that is given to them on the first day.
Mhm.
And then from there, we start to work on it
Mhm.
because that way it's kind of progressive in that way. And then after 4 weeks or so, more or less, we
Mhm.
go to a second type of writing. So the first type of writing might be narrative, it might be informative, it might be persuasive. It just depends. There's 6 different ones I look at.
Mhm.
And I just look at all the different students that what they need. Like what their priorities are. Are they looking at standardized testing? There's a lot of,
Yeah.
decisions that go into that. And then from there, we meet, like I said, twice a week for an hour each. And then we figure out an office hour, and then that can be a third hour if you want it to be. Not
Mhm.
everybody uses that, but some students do. And their mom might say, "Hey, my son is working on a test this week, upcoming week, and can you help with that?" So that's the sort of thing. Um, and if you feel that after the 12 weeks, and we'll talk about the 12 weeks, whether or not that makes sense at this point in the year or what we need to do to adjust that. But if you say to me at the end of that you're unsatisfied with the results, then what we do is I keep working until we achieve those results. So he can stay with the tutoring. So I'm I don't do session by session like that. I
Mhm.
know that this time of the year is kind of an exception because it's kind of late, and so I would say that we can adjust it to where maybe we're doing, I haven't looked at the calendar yet, but
Mhm.
so we're looking at 8 more weeks left in the year.
Yeah.
We could do like an 8 week session. We could do a 12 week,
Mhm.
um, which includes the summer. So we'll
Mhm.
do a prep session for summer, which will be kind of different. There'll be a little miniature break in there because a lot of people travel that first week, um, and everything. So that's how we do it. Now, I would also say that if you do refer others, then I can give you a discount on top of that.
Mhm.
Um, so that's just something to think about.
Okay.
Okay, so the investment for that is very competitive. Um, it is $1,200 for 12 weeks.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay. And so that's pretty much, if you can break it up by hour if you want to. I don't I don't like to work by the hour. I mean,
No.
a lot of people like to do the math, that they can do it if they want. The
Mhm.
way I like to think of it is this is investment,
Mhm.
and this is targeted, and
Mhm.
this is a commitment. And that's how I like to work with students, because I feel that um, I'm trying to teach them to internalize a lot of this stuff.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
That sounds good to me. I think we do have an upcoming travel plan. Like we're traveling
Mhm.
to visit our family in India, May and June, like towards the end of May and not end of May, mid of May to end of June. We have that coming up.
Okay. Oh, June. Yeah, and by the way, I do have an onboarding process too. So I have a slide deck, and then
Okay.
when I go through the sessions, we have a whole slide deck. It's kind of kid friendly. So if the kids like dogs or monkeys or kittens, we
Mhm.
put that in there. I put
Yeah.
that in there. So kids like that. I didn't do that the first 2 years ago when I first started it, but one of the kids said, "Hey, you should have like slides." So I've been using those ever since, and I think it's cool. Um,
Okay.
so um, when do you want to when do you want to start, or do you have any other questions there?
No, I think I got all my questions covered.
Okay.
With regard to when do we get Rishan started, I think I'll have a quick conversation with my husband, and
Yes.
then we'll decide on, because we also have to see the upcoming schedule and things. So I just
Yeah.
want to be super involved and dedicated with whatever we are doing. So I'll have a conversation with him. And I do have a friend who's actually looking for the similar thing for her child. I'm going to share your reference with her as well.
Okay.
Probably be trying to connect with you sometime this week. I'll share her your number, and meanwhile, like in a day or so, I'll discuss with my husband, and I'll come back to you when we want to start and what's going on in our mind, and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Um, let me stop this right now. Yeah, one of the things that something to think about. I'm also talking with other families. So
Mm-hmm.
the sooner you get back to me, probably the better, only because I've got a mother right now
Mm-hmm.
who's she just needs to do one more thing. I think she might start this week.
Okay.
She has a sixth grader, like I said, and an eighth grader as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so she is looking for, I think, Monday and Wednesday, but we can also talk about the hours.
Yeah.
So it would be after, so Texas time, you're in Central, is that right? Right
That
now, over there it's 8:10.
yes.
Okay. So yeah, the earliest I do tutoring because I work out of town and I have to drive back would
Yeah.
be 6:30 Central,
6:30 is 7:30 hour time.
cent Central time.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, it may be that we can do it later,
Mm-hmm.
but if I have others that sign up, I'll have to prioritize,
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also do a group tutoring.
Okay.
The way it works is once I settle on the time, then
Mhm.
I make that available to everybody, and then we just group everybody,
Okay.
making sure that it's age appropriate as well.
Okay.
You know,
So the investment plan for the individual versus group is the same, isn't it?
yeah, it would almost be more if it was individual because um, I'm trying to do an online group
Okay.
practice,
Okay.
so it's not going to be more expensive. I'll keep it the same, but
Okay.
if once I'm up and running and I'm quit my full-time job and somebody wants to do one-on-one, it's always going to be more expensive
Oh,
because I'm going to be doing groups. I'll
group.
be in the future be doing groups of 5 to 10 students per session.
Okay.
And so therefore that that amount of time is very valuable
Right. Agree.
business wise. Yeah.
Um.
The other thing I want to say is I'm very, how shall I say, I do have material that I use,
Mhm.
but on the other hand, because I have a lot of experience, one of the things that I will often do is I prepare ahead of time, but I'm very flexible as well. And I think a lot of times the to me tutors are, and I can't speak for other tutors, but I think at a certain point in my career, I was focused on the lesson. We have to get through the lesson.
Mhm.
And I think that's a problem.
Mm.
So I just want you to rest assured that this is the type of situation where we're really wanting to give students, even if there's a small group,
Mhm.
it should feel like it's individualized.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
And
so it's called differentiation.
right.
And I know how to differentiate, even if I have a group of 3 or 4 students to
Right.
meet the needs of the students. So that's going to be important.
Right. So when you say this is a group session, so what is the max strength of the group?
Yeah, the max number um, would be, I think right now, this point in the year, I would keep it to no more than 6.
Okay.
Now I'm aiming at 10,
Mhm.
but I honestly think that because I'm working with you and I'm working with there's another family that she wants it to be small.
Okay.
So if I do combine with others, it's gonna have to be small. It's gonna depend upon the time.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So if you join her group,
Mm-hmm.
right, with her sixth grader, uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's also a ninth grader there,
Mm-hmm.
then that would be a smaller group. It would be no more than 4.
Okay.
If you join your own group, it might be a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's because of what I told the mom. I said, look, I will keep it small for you. It's because I was trying to help out.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Understood.
Yeah. Yep. And I honestly don't think I'm going to get six at this point in the year because I'm very busy, and so um, I don't spend a lot of time,
Hmm.
making these calls, but I do when I get them. So yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I'll discuss with my husband and we'll put a plan together and I'll let you know shortly.
Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Okay. Talk to you in a bit.
Thank you. Thanks so
Nice
much.
talking with you guys. Nice to meet you guys too.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Bye.